بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق.
Assalamu alaikum. This video is about the pneumonia, that is, what is pneumonia. Pneumonia is an infection of the lower respiratory tract which involves either one lung or both lungs. And the main reason of this type of pneumonia is bacteria, viruses and fungi. Due to the infection, they will lead to the inflammatory condition of the air sacs or bronchus or interstitial spaces between the air sacs, which in turn lead to the cascade of the inflammation and with the building up of the fluid or pus in the respiratory tract, which lead to the difficult to breathe. And the germs, basically, they are responsible for the pneumonia are the contagious. That means that they can easily spread from person to person. And if the viral and bacterial pneumonia is there, then they can easily spread through inhalation of the airborne droplets, which are come from the sneezing or coughing of the affected person. And if the objects are contaminated with the affected persons or the droplets or the coughing or sneezing of the affected person, then the area and the or the different types of instruments can also lead to the spread of the disease. However, in case of fungal pneumonia, it cannot spread from person to person, which is a rare type of disease. So we have a look that in normal condition, in normal air sacs, there is no accumulation of the fluid between the interstitial spaces and neither in the air sacs of the lungs. However, in case of pneumonia, there is the presence of the inflamed air sacs, which lead to the accumulation of the fluid, and this accumulation of the fluid in turn will lead to the apnea or dyspnea. Before going further, we will have to discuss that what is the normal lung defense mechanism. Nature had provided the several mechanisms to decrease the burden of the microbe and foreign particles to the lungs. And first of all, air is filtered from the nose, hairs, and several microbes get destroyed by the mouth acidity. Then we have the lining of the trachea is such a way, the design of the lining of the trachea is such a way that it comprises of the ciliated tall columnar cells along with certain goblet cells. Both these type of cells will lead to the formation of the mucociliary skeletal system. This is a system in which ciliated cells are responsible for the trapping of the foreign particles, and goblet cells, beside the trapping of the particle, goblet cell release mucus, due to which several particles got stick on it, and ciliary particles will push these ciliary cells will push these particles in the upward direction, and cuff reflex will also squeeze the trachea, and narrowing the size of the trachea again lead to the pushing up of the particle, and it is so forceful then it will eliminate the foreign particle through the entire tract. So the trachea and bronchia may contain certain types of organisms. However, the lower part of the respiratory tract is completely sterile and it is free from any type of microorganism. Either there is no normal flora at all. Then we go further down, then we have a bronchioles or bronchi. The wall of the bronchi again comprises of the ciliated cells along with the club cells. These club cells are also responsible for the secretion of the several types of surfactants and proteins that again lead to the disinfectant and decreasing the burden by detoxifying the foreign particles. Then beside this, we have certain macrophages which are lined with the which are present in the respiratory tract, and these macrophages either in the form of lymphocytes, they trap the and destroy the foreign particles. The muscle and the cartilage band is also the band of trachea is also responsible for the providence of the immunity as it becomes narrow during the coughing, and it gives a forceful defense mechanism by expelling the foreign particles from the respiratory tract. The type 1 pneumocytes are mainly those cells which are squamous epithelium cells, and they are basically responsible for the gaseous exchange, and the main function of the respiratory tract is to absorb the oxygen in the blood and remove the carbon dioxide from the blood and expel out from the lungs to the air. And main cells are the type 1 pneumocytes, which causes the gaseous exchange. However, they are very thin, they are very delicate, and they are susceptible to the toxic substances and microorganisms, and they will easily be damaged. So, to protect type 1 pneumocytes, all these defense mechanisms are working in the lungs, and they are helping each other. Besides these, several macrophages are also there, which on initial exposure to the organism, they produce certain types of antibodies, and they also clear the lungs through the generation of these antibodies. Furthermore, upper respiratory tract also contains certain type of microflora, which also inhibit the movement of other types of organism in the respiratory tract. Type 2 pneumocytes and club cells are basically responsible for the production of the surfactants and certain substances which are secretory proteins and responsible for the detoxifying the harmful substances inhaled in the lungs. Then we have the classification of pneumonia. Pneumonia can be classified on the basis of type of microorganisms, or they can also classify on the basis of the place where the person gets it, and they are also classify on the basis of the site of the lung which is affected in the condition. So first we will discuss the types of pneumonia on the basis of microorganisms. So bacteria and viruses are the two main types of the organism which lead to the pneumonia, which is the acute type of pneumonia. So bacteria, among bacteria, mostly they are Streptococcus pneumonia is a gram-positive bacteria, and it is mainly responsible for the community-acquired pneumonia. And basically, it is a commensal organism that is present in the upper respiratory tract. However, if it goes penetrate, it will lead to the hemolytic pneumonia, and it breaks down the red blood cells through the production of the hydrogen peroxide. And infection lead to the DNA damage and kill the alveoli of the lungs, or causes the fever, chills, cough, and difficulty in breathing and chest pain. And if it is spread to the brain and spinal cord, it is also responsible for the pneumococcal meningitis, which have a symptoms of the stiff neck, fever, confusion, and headache, as we have discussed earlier in the video of the meningitis. Then this is the main organism which is responsible for the pneumonia, and it is associated with the higher mortality rate, and it affects. Besides this, if the person is side by side infected from the Haemophilus influenza, these have a synergistic effect on one another, and they will lead to the severe type of pneumonia. Then we have Staphylococcus aureus, which is also a gram-positive round bacterium, and basically it is also responsible for the frequently present in the upper respiratory tract. However, if penetrate, it will lead to the pneumonia. Then we have Haemophilus influenza, which is a gram-negative fucobacillary facultative and aerobic bacteria, and MRSA is a basically Staphylococcus aureus, which is resistant to several types of antibiotics. So it is very difficult to treat, especially if it is present in the hospital acquired patient. Then we have Legionella pneumonia, which is thin aerobic polymorphic flagellated non-spore forming gram-negative bacteria, and the condition is also called as legionellosis, and the symptoms are more or less similar to the pneumonia. Then we have atypical pneumonia, in which the mycoplasma pneumonia is present, which do not have any type of cell wall. So it is also again difficult to treat, as most of the antibiotics are there, which are very effective in pneumonia, are the cell wall synthesis inhibitors. So these cell wall synthesis inhibitors are not working in this condition. One type of microorganism is remaining, which is the Chlamydia pneumonia, which is also a gram-negative bacteria, and it is basically responsible for the damaging of the lining of the respiratory tract, including throat, windpipes, and lungs. So we can say that in this type of pneumonia, mostly bacterial pneumonia is responsible for the lower respiratory tract infection rather than upper respiratory tract infections. It means that throat symptoms usually may be present or may not be present. However, in case of Chlamydia pneumonia, it is mainly infected the upper part of the lungs, and then it will go down and infect the lower part. The viral bacteria is viral pneumonia is basically responsible for the initial infection of the upper respiratory tract, and then this type of pneumonia goes down and lead to the further complication of the pneumonia. Among virus, we have the influenza virus, either type A, B, C, or D, and we have coronavirus, and then there are 4 types of influenza virus, A, B, C, D, and human influenza virus are basically A and B, and they are responsible for the seasonal epidemic of the disease. And usually the global epidemic of flu is usually produced by this type of these type of viruses. Virus has the ability to spread quickly as compared to bacterial pneumonia. So this type of pneumonia is a very difficult condition, and furthermore there are several mutations is also occur, so that they easily be mutate and become resistant to available therapeutic agents. Coronaviruses are the larger family of the viruses that are mainly responsible for the generation of the mild to moderate upper respiratory tract illness like common cold, just like influenza virus. However, mainly 3 new coronaviruses are there which have emerged from the animal reservoir, and they have led to the serious widespread illness and high mortality. Mainly, coronaviruses are present in the pigs, camel, bats, and cats, and these viruses may jump to the human due to any spillover content or spillover event and lead to the disease. 4 of the 7 known coronavirus were found previously, and among them, the initial virus was reported in 2004 in the form of SARS, and that is severe acute respiratory syndrome were the symptoms produced by these viruses, and it started from 2002 to and end in 2004. Then in the Middle East, respiratory syndrome MERS was found, and it was transmitted from an animal reservoir like camel, and it was identified in 2012. And it was a localized outbreak and sporadic, and it is not spread to the whole world. However, then we have third emergency of the coronavirus, which is SARS-CoV, which is mainly occurred in 2019, and this is now termed as COVID-19, starting from the China, and now it is declared as a global pandemic by World Health Organization in the March 2020. So it is globally spreaded, and the most common cause of the pneumonia in today's is the coronavirus. Then we have certain fungi, which is a very rare type of the pneumonia, and beside this we have rhinoviruses. Before discussing further, we left one type of virus, which is rhinovirus. This type of virus basically also responsible for the common symptom of the cold. However, it proliferates and lead to the simple symptoms of the pneumonia. And then we have fungal pneumonia, and these type of pneumonia is occur only those individuals which have a weak immune system or having any other underlying disorder like immunocompromised patient, and they usually inhale from the environment, and they usually doesn't spread from person to person. The example is the Pneumocystis carinii fungus or and Pneumocystis jirovecii pneumonia, and basically the spores are responsible for the spread of the disease. This is the summarized picture of the causative agents of the for the production of the pneumonia, and you can see that bacteria and viruses are two major cause of the pneumonia. Besides these, fungi are also responsible. This is the Klebsiella pneumonia, round-shaped organ, Staphylococcus aureus, Staphylococcus pneumonia, and Staphylococcus aureus, Helicobacter pylori, and we have certain viruses of different shapes. Then we have Vibrio cholera and Cyanobacterium diphtheria, and these are the rare causes of the pneumonia as well. Then we can classify pneumonia on the basis of the mode of transmission by the bacteria or viruses, and basically it can be passed from person to person and also from the environment. And by practicing good hygiene and good washing techniques, it can be minimized, and we can decrease the spread of the germs. The most common type of the pneumonia is the community acquired pneumonia, and it is basically acquired outside from the hospital. So it is codenamed CAP, and the reason may be the viruses, maybe the bacteria, and it is the most common cases of the pneumonia, and usually it is basically transmitted by the droplets in the air touching the contaminated objects, poor hygiene, and sharing cups and utensils or from the environment. Besides the community acquired pneumonia, we have the hospital acquired pneumonia. It basically refers to the development of the symptoms of the pneumonia in the patient who were hospitalized due to the another type of illness or procedure with a latency period of about 72 hours. It means they got infection from the hospital, and the infectious agent basically is the gram-negative bacteria like E. coli or Klebsiella. And basically this type of pneumonia is reported in the 5% of the patients. Then we have ventilator associated pneumonia. As you can understand by the name, that usually it is occur in those patients which are not which are not admitted due to the lung problem. However, for example, in cardiac patients, they or due to any stroke condition or due to any mental illness, they undergo coma or they need a mechanical assistance for the respiration, and the patient needs ventilator. Then these types of ventilator or mechanical ventilator basically responsible for the spread of the pneumonia, and this can be a life-threatening condition because patient is already require a mechanical support, and so he is critically ill. So this type of pneumonia, if occur, then the patient is very difficult to survive. Then we have aspiration pneumonia. It means that the patient is basically inhale the foreign objects and or anything which it vomits out, or mucus or any body fluid through esophagus come into the bronchial tubes, and it lead to the inflammation in the pneumonia, in the inflammation in the respiratory tract. And basically it is if large amount of gastric contents realgregate, and it lead to the respiratory distress within 1 hour. And in cases of respiration, immediate physiotherapy can help the secretion of the clearance. On the basis of site, we have three types of pneumonia, that is bronchopneumonia, atypical interstitial pneumonia, and lobular pneumonia. As you can see in the picture, that when the whole lobule is involved, either right lobule or left lobule, then it is called as lobular pneumonia. And if the pneumonia is not in the alveoli, rather than it is present in the bronchioles, then it is called as bronchio pneumonia. It means bronchial basically are affected and inflamed. And then we have lastly interstitial pneumonia, in which the pneumonia is mainly responsible for the inflammation in the interstitial spaces between the alveoli. Then there are certain questions related to the COVID-19, and that is that COVID-19 and influenza virus are similar or not, or they are different. They are similar in a way that they have similar clinical presentation. They are responsible for both respiratory diseases with a wide range of illness, from asymptomatic or mild to severe disease and the death. Secondly, both viruses are transmitted by the contact, droplets and fomites, and as a result of the same public health measure can be taken, and same hygiene and good respiratory etiquettes if adopted, then the prevention can be possible from the spread of these two viruses. However, what is the difference between them? The difference is that influenza had a shorter median incubation period, that is only for 2 to 3 days, and while shorter serial interval, and while COVID-19 has a larger infection period, incubation period, that is 5 to 6 days instead of 3 days, and mean time is also more. And furthermore, the transmission in the first 3-5 days is very important, because it is initially asymptomatic. In case of COVID-19, it is asymptomatic. Person affected from COVID-19 virus are basically shedding the virus and transmitting the virus in the environment even prior the onset of the symptoms, and it is the major responsible cause of the transmission of the disease. Secondly, the secondary infections generated from one individual to the another, and it is mainly higher in case of COVID-19 as compared to influenza. So, influenza is become less mortal as compared to the COVID-19. Furthermore, another difference is that the children are mainly more affected in case of influenza virus. However, research data up till now from the November and to the March, that is 5th month, 5 month research data is available, which shows that children are less affected to the COVID as compared to the adult, and adults are more affected, especially those adults which have the age higher than the 50. And clinical rates between the age group 0 to 19 is very low. As the initial symptoms are same for both viruses, however, the fraction of severity of the disease is different. For example, for COVID-19, 80% of the infection is mild and asymptomatic, while in case of 15%, the infection becomes severe and it requires oxygen, and while 5% goes under the critical infections and require ventilation. So the fraction of the severe and critical infection would be higher as compared to the influenza. The major risk for the influenza, as we discussed earlier, that children and pregnant women and elderly are those three groups which are mainly affected by the severe influenza. Especially children are very affected by the influenza. However, initially it was supposed that children were mainly affected by the COVID-19. However, it was not happened, and COVID-19 is basically for the older age people, and they increases the risk for the severe infection in only older person. Furthermore, mortality of the COVID-19 is more higher as compared to influenza, and depending upon the country, some places are there where mortality rate is continuously changing, and it basically falls between from 3 to 4% to so low up to 0.1%. However, 0.1% mortality is found for the influenza virus. Medical interventions, how, as we know that currently no treatment and no licensed vaccine is still available, and it is under the clinical trial, so we can't say that. However, each year influenza vaccine is launched, and several patients are undergo the vaccination procedures, especially children undergo vaccination procedures. What is the prevalence and transmission of the pneumonia? Basically, prevalence is due to the inhalation and the spreading of disease from one person to another. And pneumonia, if it is of influenza or if it is of bacterial origin, then it kills children more as compared to other diseases. However, in case of corona, it will lead to the death of the older patient. So, the mortality is different and prevalence is now worldwide, and depending upon the condition, it can be transferred from one person to another. Then we have the stages of the pneumonia. What are the stages? Usually, if it is normal pneumonia, then symptoms start from the consolidation stage, which is the stage of congestion, and in this congestion, cellular exudates containing neutrophil, lymphocytes, and fibrins, they start replacing the alveolar spaces. So we can say that we will see the stage of congestion. There is an accumulation of the fluid, edema, hyperemia. Then we have this stage is followed by the stage of red hepatization. What happened in red hepatization? That cellular exudates which previously contained neutrophils, lymphocytes, and fibrins, then these cellular fibrates then got infected and further infected, and they will lead to the red hepatization in 2 to 3 days, and the lungs now resemble to that of liver, and the lungs become hyperemic, it becomes reddish. So neutrophil is there, neutrophils are there, congestion is there, and fibrin threads are found. Then we have the in this red hepatization there are alveolar capillaries which are engorged with the blood, and this stage is followed by the gray hepatization. Gray hepatization is occur after the 3 days of the red hepatization, and basically it is a vascular stage. Vascular stage means that the lungs appear gray brown, and the fibrinopleural exudate, and this indicator of red cells and hemoglobin start migrating from the area, and it may start from the clearing from the lungs. So leukocyte migrates into the congested alveoli, and the pressure of exudate in the alveoli causes the compression of the capillary. So somewhat redness of the lungs become decreased. Then there is the stage of resolution. If the person is not immunocompromised and it fights with the pneumonia, then it may doctor prescribe some antibiotics in case of bacterial pneumonia, or in case of viral pneumonia for the supportive purpose. Antibiotic has been suggested. Then this stage is followed by the resolution, and this resolution is the resorption and restoration of the pulmonary architecture. So a large number of macrophages enter in the alveolar spaces, and these macrophages basically lead to the phagocytosis of the bacteria and which are present in the surrounding alveoli, and consolidation tissue reaerates the and fluid infiltrate the causes the sputum. So after the resolution there is increased formation of the sputum. Fibrinous inflammatory may extend and across the pleural spaces, and it causes a rub hard by oscillation, and it may lead to the resolution or the organization and pleural adhesion. It means fibrinous state may be resolved or may not resolve. What is the duration of this infection? That is, all we know that the duration is about 2 weeks and or even longer in children, in adults, and those who have weakened immune system, especially those we have chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or asthma. So, even some healthy people may feel tired up to the month, and after the lungs here undergoes the resolution. So, the pneumonia can be treated at home, and if it is severe, then it will be treated in the hospital. There are numerous risk factors, and depending upon the type of pneumonia, either it is COVID, or either it is influenza pneumonia, or either it is of bacterial pneumonia. So, in those patients which are already immunocompromised, having the age more than 65, or they are using cigarette, or they are the patient of the age, or they have certain heart disease, diabetes, asthma, chronic bronchitis, emphysema, or they have chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or they are the patient of the stroke or coma, or the person is using alcohol or any intravenous drug abuse is there, then they all these risk factors impose the person to be to have a chance of getting the severe pneumonia and may lead to the death. But after that, we will discuss the case study in pneumonia will be discussed in the next video, inshallah. Thank you for watching.